I always knew I was the afterthought. My mom made it clear that my older sister, Lily, was her golden child, while I was just there. It wasn't always outright cruelty. No, that would have been too obvious. Instead, it was a million little things. The way she would light up whenever Lily walked into the room but barely acknowledge me. The way she'd boast about Lily's achievements to the neighbors, but struggle to remember what grade I was in. The way she always found a way to justify Lily's behavior, no matter how cruel or selfish, while I was the one who needed to stop being difficult. At first, I thought it was normal. Every kid thinks their childhood is just the way things are supposed to be. But as I got older, I realized it wasn't. Other parents celebrated all their kids, not just one. Other parents didn't brush off their child's accomplishments like they were trivial. And other parents certainly didn't let one sibling take and take, while the other was expected to just deal with it. I still remember my 12th birthday. I had begged for weeks for a simple chocolate cake, and my mom had promised she'd make it. I was so excited, until I came home from school and saw the table set for a party. But not for me. No, it was for Lily. She had just gotten a special recognition at school. Nothing major, just a certificate for participating in some competition. But my mom decided that was worth celebrating more than my birthday. There was a cake, sure, but not chocolate. Lily didn't like chocolate. There were presents, but not for me. When I finally asked about it, my mom just sighed and said, "Oh, sweetie, you're too old for a big fuss over a birthday anyway. Lily worked so hard for this." That was the day I stopped expecting anything. Fast forward to adulthood, and nothing changed. Lily still got whatever she wanted. My mom still bent over backward for her. And I was still the invisible one. The only difference was I had learned to accept it, or at least I thought I had. Until the day I overheard something that changed everything. I was visiting my mom's house, sitting quietly in the kitchen while she was on the phone in the next room. I wasn't paying much attention until I heard my name. "She doesn't really need it," my mom was saying, her voice casual, dismissive. "Lily deserves it more. She's been through so much, and it's not like she would even use it properly." I froze. What was she talking about? What didn't I need? And what was she planning to give Lily again, at my expense? That was the moment something inside me snapped. I wasn't a child anymore. I wasn't powerless. And this time, I wasn't going to let it slide. To anyone on the outside looking in, my family probably seemed normal. My mom was charming, always polite in public, and Lily played the role of the perfect daughter effortlessly. And me? I was just the quiet one, the one who never caused trouble, the one who didn't get in the way. But behind closed doors, it was a different story. Lily always got the best of everything. If I got something, she got something better. If I achieved something, she had to outshine me, and my mom made sure of it. When I was in high school, I saved up for months to buy myself a laptop. I worked part-time at a bookstore, skipping out on trips with friends just to put away enough money. The day I finally brought it home, I felt proud, like I had finally done something for myself. The next morning, it was gone. I searched everywhere, thinking maybe I had misplaced it, until I found it in Lily's room. She was using it like it was hers. "Mom said you didn't mind," she said when I confronted her, barely glancing up from the screen. "Besides, I need it more than you do. You don't even take school that seriously." I was furious. I went to my mom, expecting her to at least acknowledge how unfair it was. Instead, she sighed like I was being dramatic. "Sweetheart, Lily really does need it more. You're so responsible, I'm sure you'll be fine without it." That was always her excuse. I was responsible, I was mature, I could handle it. So I was expected to let everything slide while Lily took whatever she wanted, guilt-free. It didn't stop at material things either. When I graduated high school, I got into a great university with a scholarship. I was excited to go, to finally carve out something of my own. Then, my mom sat me down. "Lily is struggling right now," she started, her voice soft, careful. "She really wants to go to that private college, but we just don't have enough to cover it. If you deferred for a year, we could use some of the money to help her out." I stared at her, waiting for her to say she was joking. She wasn't. That time, I put my foot down. I went to college anyway, despite my mom's protests, despite Lily's whining about how selfish I was being. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. But the thing about freedom is, when you've spent your whole life being overlooked, you don't quite believe you deserve it. Even after I graduated, even after I got a stable job and moved into my own place, I still found myself falling into the same patterns. I kept visiting home, kept playing the role of the daughter who didn't ask for much, kept swallowing my resentment whenever my mom gushed about Lily's latest accomplishment, which was usually just some new boyfriend or a new purse she guilted someone into buying her. Until that day, the day I overheard my mom on the phone. I stayed frozen in the kitchen, my mind racing. What was she talking about? What was I about to lose this time? So, I did something I had never done before. I listened in. She won't even appreciate it, my mom was saying. Lily will. It should go to someone who will actually use it. There was a pause, and then she laughed lightly. Well, she'll just have to understand. It's not like she can say no. That last sentence made my stomach turn. I had to find out what they were talking about. And when I did, I realized just how far my mom was willing to go to put Lily first. I felt a familiar anger bubbling up, but this time, something was different. I wasn't a helpless kid anymore. I wasn't going to roll over and take it. I needed to find out exactly what my mom was planning. That night, I played it cool. I sat through dinner with her and Lily, pretending I hadn't heard a thing. I nodded along as Lily rambled about some amazing opportunity coming her way. And then, just as we were finishing up, I casually asked, "So, what have you two been up to? Any big plans?" My mom and Lily exchanged a glance, just for a second, but it was enough. "Oh, nothing much," my mom said with an innocent smile. "Just making some arrangements." Arrangements, right? I let it go, for now. But as soon as I got home, I started digging. And what I found made my blood run cold. A few weeks earlier, my grandmother had passed away. We weren't particularly close, but she had always been kind to me, more than my own mother had ever been. I hadn't thought much about her will, assuming everything would go to my mom. But when I checked my emails, I found a message from a lawyer's office. I had inherited something, a house, my grandmother's old house, the one she had lived in for decades. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was in a nice neighborhood, fully paid off, and easily worth hundreds of thousands. And I was the sole inheritor, not my mom, not Lily, just me. And now suddenly my mom thought I wouldn't appreciate it? I finally saw it clearly. She had planned to keep this from me, to give my house to Lily. I sat there gripping my phone so tightly, my knuckles turned white. She had really done it this time, and she thought I wouldn't fight back. Well, she was about to find out just how wrong she was. The setup. The next morning, I called the lawyer's office. I confirmed everything. The house was legally mine, no loopholes, no conditions. My mom had no say in it whatsoever. I could have just told her off right then and there, but that wouldn't have been enough. No. I wanted her to feel what it was like to have something ripped away when she thought it was hers. So I played along. I let a few days pass, waiting for my mom to make her move. And sure enough, she did. She called me, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Sweetheart, I wanted to talk to you about Grandma's house. I know the lawyer mentioned something to you, but honestly, it would be so much better for Lily. She's in such a difficult place right now, and she really needs a fresh start. I know you understand." I almost laughed. A difficult place? Lily had been living in luxury, mooching off our mother and her endless excuses for years. But I didn't argue. Instead, I sighed, pretending to hesitate. "I don't know, Mom. I guess I wouldn't mind helping Lily out." I could practically hear her grin through the phone. "Oh, honey, that would mean the world to her. To all of us." Yeah, I bet it would. So, I let them think they had won. I played dumb. I acted like I was considering signing it over. Meanwhile, I was making my real plans. First, I changed the locks on the house. Then, I started quietly transferring everything into my name. Utilities, taxes, everything. I made sure there was zero room for my mom to weasel her way in. And then, I waited for the perfect moment to strike. The day finally arrived. My mom and Lily were so sure of their victory that they never saw what was coming. A week after our phone call, my mom invited me over to finalize everything. She acted like she was doing me a favor, like I was some clueless little girl who needed her to guide me through this generous decision. I played my part perfectly. I arrived at her house, keeping my expression hesitant, like I was still unsure. Lily, meanwhile, was practically glowing. She was already talking about how she was going to redecorate, how she'd be moving in immediately, how she might even sell the house later for a better place. She was talking about my house. I clenched my jaw but forced myself to smile. Then came the moment my mom slid a stack of papers toward me. "I had a lawyer friend draft everything up," she said with a sugary sweet smile. "Just sign here and we'll take care of the rest." I picked up the pen, twirling it between my fingers. "So, once I sign this, the house belongs to Lily?" My mom beamed. "Exactly. It's just the right thing to do, sweetheart. You wouldn't even use it, and Lily..." I cut her off. "Actually, I was thinking about moving in myself." Silence. Lily blinked at me like I had just spoken in another language. "What?" I set the pen down and leaned back in my chair. "Yeah, I mean, it's my house. Legally, officially, completely mine. I was thinking it might be nice to finally have a place to myself." My mom's smile twitched. "But, sweetheart, we already discussed this?" "No, you discussed it," I corrected. "I never agreed to anything." Lily scoffed. "Oh, come on, you don't even need it. You have your own place." I shrugged. "And now, I have two." Lily's face turned red. "Mom," she whined. My mom tried to recover, giving me that disappointed look she always used when she wanted to guilt me into submission. "I really thought you'd do the right thing here." I tilted my head. "You mean like how you did the right thing all those years? Like when you let Lily take everything from me because I'd be fine? Well, guess what, Mom? I am fine. And now I'm keeping what's mine." Lily slammed her hands on the table. "You selfish..." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Selfish? You plan to take my house behind my back, and I'm the selfish one." I stood up, sliding the unsigned papers back toward them. "This, not happening. In fact, I already changed the locks and transferred everything into my name. So if you were planning on packing your bags, don't bother." Lily looked like she might explode. My mom's face paled. "You did what?" "You heard me." I grabbed my purse and turned toward the door. "Oh, and if you or Lily ever try to mess with me again, I have all the messages, all the paperwork, and a damn good lawyer on speed dial." With that, I walked out, leaving them to deal with the reality they never saw coming. The moment I walked out of that house, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: power. For the first time in my life, I had taken control instead of just accepting whatever scraps were left for me. And it felt damn good. Of course, my mom and Lily didn't take it well. The calls started almost immediately. First, my mom tried the disappointed mother act, leaving me long-winded voicemails about how family should come first and how she couldn't believe I was doing this to Lily. When that didn't work, Lily switched to full meltdown mode. She texted me nonstop, calling me every name in the book, ranting about how I was ruining her life. "This isn't fair," she wrote. "You don't even need the house. I deserve it more." I just laughed and blocked her number. A few days later, my mom called me from a different phone. This time, she dropped the sweet act. "You're being completely unreasonable," she snapped. "You have no idea what you're doing." "Oh, I know exactly what I'm doing," I said calmly. "I'm keeping what's mine." "You are so ungrateful." That was when I lost it. "You know what, Mom?" I said, my voice sharper than I had ever let it be with her. "You spent my entire life making sure Lily had everything, even when it meant taking from me. Well, guess what? Not this time. You can't guilt me, you can't manipulate me, and you sure as hell can't steal from me anymore." She was silent for a moment. Then, in a tone dripping with venom, she said, "Fine. If you want to be selfish, don't come crying to me when you regret it." I smiled. "Oh, don't worry, I won't." And with that, I hung up, this time for good, the aftermath. Once they realized I wasn't budging, my mom and Lily tried everything to get back at me. First, they tried to spread lies to the rest of the family, painting me as some cruel, greedy monster who stole from my own sister. But that plan backfired when my aunt, who never liked Lily to begin with, called them out. She inherited it fair and square, she told them. And honestly, I don't blame her for keeping it. That shut them up real fast. Then Lily tried to guilt trip me one last time, sending me a long email about how devastated she was and how she had already told people she was getting the house. She ended it with, "If you have any heart at all, you'll do the right thing." I didn't bother responding. Instead, I forwarded it to our lawyer, just in case. As for the house, I did move in, and it was the best decision I ever made. For the first time in my life, I had something that was mine. No one could take it, no one could diminish it, and no one could tell me I didn't deserve it. And the best part? My mom and Lily had to watch, powerless, as I built a life without them. No more being the afterthought. No more being the backup plan. No more sacrificing for people who never did the same for me. I had finally won, and I wasn't looking back.